Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how I paint this loose abstract landscape. I like painting very abstract pictures and do a lot in my own personal work, less here, but I thought I'd share one of them here with you. These are the brushes that I may or may not use when I start painting. I've got the large Pro Arte Ron Ranson hake brush, 3/4 inch flat brush, a number 14 Escoda synthetic round, and a small calligraphy brush that I just found cheap on eBay a couple of years ago. When I paint abstracts, I like to limit myself to only a few colours, so I've chosen three. I've got indigo, Paynes grey and burnt sienna, three of my favourite colours together. The watercolours are Cotman tube paints, student quality, but they're some of my favourite paints. The paper I'm using is Saunders Waterford cold pressed high white paper. It's got a lovely texture. It's taped to my board, and my board at an angle of about 45 degrees, and it's taped with ordinary decorators masking tape. I'm going to use my large hake brush to wet the page. The sky's going to be wet all over, but I'm just going to put a little bit less water across the land, and then the paint will flow nicely in the wet areas, but I get some nice hard edges where the paper is dry. It's quite warm here today, so I'm making sure I've got plenty of water and give it just a few moments to soak in. And now I've picked up my three colours on the end of my brush, rather on the belly of my brush, and I'm dragging it across the horizon line. I'm looking to create something sort of atmospheric and evocative and abstract. I want to suggest rather than overtly paint. So I'm not going to do very much. I'm just going to put in that horizon line, a bit of foreground with some nice rich paint, making sure to leave a lot of the areas unpainted. This way the abstract has room to breathe, if you know what I mean. It's not overworked in any way. If I was to completely fill in that central mid-ground area with paint, then I don't think it would look very effective. Now this is going to be a very simple, quiet, graduated wash for the sky. There's a lot going on in the foreground, in the land rather, abstractly. For me in this painting, that's where the focus is. It's in the land. That's where I've got my textures, my tones. So I want the sky to be really quiet so it doesn't distract from that. Now I've finished painting, so I'm going to wipe off my tape with tissue, and then I'm going to lay my board flat, and that means the paint shouldn't move around too much. Hopefully it'll dry pretty much where I've put it there. At this stage I could choose to put more detail in. I could put some grasses in quickly before it dries, but I've decided that a less is more approach is what I'm taking today. So I've stepped back from the painting and I'm not going to touch it until it's dry, and then I'll assess it and have a look and see if it needs anything doing to it. So it's completely dry and I'm looking at it now, and I could do more. I could paint into it and bring out more detail, add some buildings or some trees, some figures, fences, all sorts of things I could do to it. But I've decided that as an abstract landscape, I really like the sort of desolate feeling of it. There's a sort of a mistiness. There's a very quiet, calm feeling as the plains kind of stretch out towards the distance. I think in this case, I really like it just as it is. It's got a very desolate feel to it. The marks across the horizon line could be distant trees. The unpainted paper across the middle, it could be snow, it could be a river, it could be a parched, desolate wasteland. And that's the beauty of abstracts, is that the viewer will interpret an abstract landscape as they see it, and it could represent anything. And I find it a really exciting and interesting way to paint. If we look up close as well, you can see that there's lots of dry brush areas. There's thick paint, thin paint, little blooms where the water has run into some of the thick paint and spread it out into these pretty patterns. And I think that's something that you really want to look for if you're painting abstract landscapes, is to really vary up your tones and your textures, and to really exploit the beauty of watercolour interacting with water to create these wonderful effects. So I hope you found that helpful. I'm going to finish up this demo with a short slideshow of a few of my paintings, sort of similar abstract landscapes that are currently in my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in looking at those paintings in a little bit more detail, please follow the link below. And thank you so much for watching, and happy painting. Bye.